Okay, Thursday, 7th of November 2024. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Thoughtful Thursday, philosophy and musings from life. The false dichotomy that is nature versus nurture, and understanding false dichotomies and being aware of them. So a lot of people talk about, is this something, personality or whatever else, or character or anything? Is it nature or nurture? Well, the answer in itself, the question itself is the answer. Because you see, by those two things being presented as the possible answer, indicates that they are both equally important, but also it goes deeper depending on the context and the situation and the combination. Because in that situation, that dichotomy, for example, people say nature or nurture. No one's saying, oh, is it the number of apples someone eats per day, or how many times how often they spend time in the sun, for example. No one is saying that in that same context of is this thing nature or nurture? This personality type, is it nature or nurture? No, nature or nurture, or maybe how often they spend watching movies, for example, or things like that, for example. Because those two things are so predominant, so main, so the main choices. Other things out there, how many carrots someone eats per day, isn't considered, isn't even mentioned, isn't even talked about. Yes, there are other more nuanced things you could say that could be generalized within nature or nurture. For example, how many movies someone watches. Oh, it's nurture, their upbringing, their lifestyle. But still, the fact that those two things are mentioned and talked about in the dichotomy of nature and nurture shows that they are equally important. It's a false dichotomy. Because if it, by definition, self-evidently, if it wasn't one of the two or both, no one would talk about it. For example, how many carrots someone eats per day, by definition. Therefore, that question itself is a false dichotomy. And in life, it's worthwhile being aware of these false dichotomies and understanding that sometimes it isn't either or, it's both, or even both but. It's both but contextual, both but this one a bit more, both but this one less so during the winter, this one but only on a Saturday night, or this one but only on the weekdays, for example. Things like that. There's more nuances to life. I did some videos about this, within reason, and accept and adapt. Accept things as they are and adapt towards they are. And within reason, there's always some nuance to life, always an extra caveat to consider, always something else to understand. So it's worth understanding and recognizing that question, nature or nurture, really it's both, by definition. Enough people have thought about these questions and generally come to the same conclusion, this or that, and by definition it's both. Otherwise, in the question itself, it wouldn't be included with the other answers, how many carrots someone eats per day. And that dichotomy right there is worth understanding. Sometimes in life you might come across this or that, either or kind of question or answer or dilemma or situation, when actually the chances are they're both correct, they're both accurate, they both have some degrees of truthfulness to them. And then going one step further, there's nuances. For example, nature or nurture, you could say, well, it's 80% nature and 20% nurture in this context. But in that context over there, in terms of fashion style, it's 20% nature and 70% nurture and 10% X, Y, or Z, or society, things like that. Notice the minority, 10%. But because they're both so big, they're talked about, they're so impactful, it's talked about. And we want to be aware of these dichotomies in life, either or. Because life is more complicated than that. I did a video about this as well, actually. Life is complicated, don't be so narcissistic. Kind of talks about this, but more the narcissism side. There's more to it than just this or that. Life isn't really black and white. There's many nuances. I'm sure I did a video about this as well, actually, because there are layers of entropy out there. There's so many factors and variables out there that to summarize things in a dichotomy is often a bit of a falsehood, a bit of a misrepresentation, because it oversimplifies questions and dilemmas and debates at the expense of getting a low resolution, a simplified understanding of something And when you have a low resolution, simplified understanding of something, you don't grasp the full complexity of life, the full nuances, the full picture, so to speak. And when you do that so many times, and the critical mass of things, you have a flawed understanding of the world, a flawed understanding of how things work, of society, the culture, the world, everything, the physics and biology and anthropology and beyond. That. It's making small mistakes, too many small mistakes here and there, and it all adds up. And one of them would be misunderstanding these dichotomies and only taking it at face value. And yet, I did a video about this as well, actually. When to take things at face value is kind of instinctual, it's kind of based on experience. When to take things, and I guess also practicality, just as it is. Sometimes by taking things at face value, we risk oversimplifying dilemmas, oversimplifying things to the point where it could be our detriment. And if we oversimplify too many things in life, that low resolution version of it, we are inadvertently holding ourselves back. And we don't really want that, because it's self-detrimental, it's to your own disadvantage. And why would you want to disadvantage yourself? It makes sense. But that's powerful. Understand that there's false dichotomies out there and being aware of them. Very important. Very, very important. That way you can have a better grasp and understanding of the world, of life, society, mankind, the future, you name it. Thoughtful Thursday, the future. Oh, it's tomorrow as well, Friday future. Yeah, future Friday. But still, very important. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.